Hi guys, it's Emily from Novell Novels and welcome to today's video. This is my What Makes a Classic a Classic. And I was tagged by the lovely Roz from Scally Danglings about the book. She tagged me and a lot of the fellow booktubers who went on the London trip. She thought this might be good for me because obviously where I'm having my classics reading slump, she thought this might be a good one to kind of boost me back into it. I think Victober is definitely helping on that. Her prompts, I went on the prompts that were on her channel, so I will be linking her video down below and going from there, and that'll have the prompts and everything else. Now, little heads up, I'm quite daft, as in I may be a little bit silly and a little bit stupid, and I didn't actually know the meaning of some of these prompts, so I am linking my sister Charlie from Charlie Book Reads, because I had to kind of go over this with her and work out my answers with her, because she is way more intelligent than me. Even though I read a lot of classics and I did do quite well on English a long time ago, I have really forgotten half of these words and what things mean. This is why I can't really be helping me with homework, because I'm not that intelligent. But I am going to go with what my gut instinct is for these prompts. I hope the answer's okay. This won't be a long video, as you well would have seen. So I'm just kind of blagging it, and I hope it's alright, Roz. I'm sorry that I'm nowhere near as intelligent as Roz is. Roz is like the brightest spark going. So, here comes my answers. The one with a gripping plot and universal themes. I've gone for one of my favourite classics. I've only read it once, but I think it's going to be one I may well want to reread, not next year but in a few years, and that is Lady Audley's Secret by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. The plot for this was so gripping, so fast paced. I wanted to really immerse myself in it, and they did have like universal themes, so there's themes like the mystery element was in it. There was just so many elements that I absolutely loved, and oh my god, it was just such a good book. The plot, for me, it mainly is the gripping plot on this. This plot was so gripping. It's a sensation novel, which I love sensation novels. I've really discovered a real love for them last year for Victober. And this one blew my mind completely. I will get off my bum and get another Mary Elizabeth Braddon. I really wanted to get one for, I think it was Aurora Floyd, but it's a little bit more pennies, and I'm thinking I'm just going to kind of see what other people think of it this year, because I know a lot of my friends are reading it this year. So, but yeah, this one was really good for that. Now the next one is the one that I am very daft and I didn't understand what this meant, and this is the subversive one. I don't totally understand what subversive means. My sister Charlie helped me. She looked up what classics with subversive characters are in it, and she mentioned a few books, and one of them that literally blew my mind is Jane Eyre, which is my second favourite classic of all time. It is a book that if you do not know this book, and if you've not read it, I do not know why. It is amazing. It is like literally one of the best classics ever, one of my favourite books ever. It's one of my favourite books where I've watched the movie adaptation, and I love the movie adaptation for it. Jane Eyre is by far Charlotte Bronte's my favourite book by Charlotte Bronte, and to me it was her standalone novel that literally blew everyone's mind. Jane Eyre is a character in herself who has so many complexities. She obviously, a lot of people, if you know Jane Eyre, then literally I won't go into details, but this is obviously ranked as one of the best classics. And she's forced to battle against cruel prejudice. She comes into a family where she doesn't know. She's sort of forced to live with her cousins, and then she's forced to go to a boarding school, and it is just literally one of the best classics ever. And she has a real hard time, but it is just literally amazing. And for some reason my cat is licking my dining room table, my garden table. I've got no idea why. Anyway, this is amazing, so I hope that's a classic to recommend. And to me, this is quite an interesting one, the one that defines a time and place. For me, I've kind of gone with a bit of a cheating answer. I've gone with The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. For me, again, this does define a time and a place, because a place is the Secret Garden. It's the era, and I hope this kind of works for this. It's the place is the Secret Garden. A lot of it's set in a place. It's set in the Secret Garden. It's set in the mansion. It's set all in that area. And our lovely lead character Mary is like amazing in this. This is not my favourite edition, but I've lent my copy to my sister-in-law and never got it back. So I want to better copy this back. But this is such a great book. So again, it's one of my favourite like sort of children's classics. I don't think it counts for Victober, but it is a very, very, very good classic. The complex, groundbreaking one. For me, I've got a book that now got a gorgeous copy of it. Sneaky peek, it is, if my Victober TBR's video, no, oh, okay, but this is counting for Victober, and this is, the reason why this is complex and groundbreaking is because it's one of the earliest feminist novels. This is The Tent of Welford Hall. Katie spoke about this in her recommendations for her prompt. It is one that you can use very, sort of, it's only kind of partly used for the prompt. But it's kind of what I'm going for because it's one that I really want to read. But this was groundbreaking at the time because it really sort of showed us about feminism, and it talked about like women in strong times. It was one of the first. Anne Bronte really broke the mold when she wrote this because it really showed women in stronger themes. It showed that women can go out and do things, and it was really groundbreaking. Originally I rated this 4 stars. When I reread it, I'm hoping I rate it higher, but it's one that, even though it was only 4 when I originally read it, it's one that's not left my mind, and it's one that I can't wait to reread. I was going to reread it next year for my project, but I think I had to read it for Victober. So, and this is a powerful novel, and it is violent, and it's got about betrayal and oppression and love. It's got an alcoholic character. It's got the disintegration of the marriage of Helen Huntington, the mysterious tenant of the title. Oh, it is an amazing book. But like I said, Anne Bronte broke the mold. She's one of the earliest feminists within this book. And to think she wrote this and Agnes Grey, and they're 2 very, very good books. And obviously if she could have written more, she would have just knocked the world to pieces. So yeah, I absolutely love this book. The one with archetypal characters. And I've gone for another one of my favourites. David Copperfield. Now, as you well know, if you've watched my video, which I'll link down below, my classics reading slump, I really have struggled with Dickens. I've loved this, and I loved Great Expectations, and I liked Oliver Twist, and I think, what was the other one? There was another one I loved. I actually really liked Hard Times, but with my Dickens project this year being such a flop, I've not liked all of Dickens' books, but this one blew my flipping mind. I loved it so, so much. And it's full of archetypal characters. You've got Uriah Heep, the archetypal baddie. You've got David Copperfield, the sweet person. You've just got characters that you just cannot fail to love. And I just absolutely loved it. I just think it's an absolutely incredible book. And it's one that's full of characters, you know, literally. Oh. Mr. Peggotty, Mrs. Peggotty, Mr. and Mrs. Micawber, the children. Oh my god, my copy is gorgeous. Uriah Heep's the ultimate baddie, and he's the ultimate archetypal baddie. He's literally like the one you just cannot help but hate. Mr. Steerforth, the like weirdo. Oh, David Copperfield, such an amazing character. This is just full of characters that you will absolutely love, and it's a classic that, if you're not 100% on Dickens and you want a Dickens to start with, this is like starting with the best of the best. My copy is literally like up to, where is my copy? It goes up to about 900 pages, but you just can't help it. It's friggin' amazing. It's full of characters that you can't help but love, and it's just one of the best classics again ever. And the one that's a complex one-off. This is a modern classic, and this is Kindred by Octavia Butler. This is like a time-space element. It's got the whole, again, it's a modern classic, so it is very like loosely in the classic. You can't use it for Victober, but this has got 2 timelines. You've got slavery in it. You've got racism in it. You've got quite a lot of themes that are very different, and this really was groundbreaking at the time because it really did put things into perspective about what sort of happened in the slave trade, about girls. This lead character goes from 1976 to 1815, and she's in the 1956 timeline. Dana dreams of being a writer, and yet in 1815 she was assumed a slave, and she goes backwards and forwards in the timelines, and it's a very, very, like, really was a complete one-off. Like, it took a long time for, this is like the start of sci-fi almost, and it was really, really good. So kind of my cheek for that. One more prompt. The one we quote from all the time. I could have named loads, but I've got my gorgeous copy of Pride and Prejudice, and the quote on the back of this is one that I've got like a little placky thing upstairs with one of the quotes. Heaven and earth are the shades of Pemberley to be thus polluted. There are so many quotes in Pride and Prejudice that people quote all the time. Pride and Prejudice, again, is Austen's, probably one of the best Austen books ever. It's my favourite Austen book. I could have quoted, like, Wuthering Heights has got some quite good quotes, Jane Eyre's got some other good quotes, but for me, I wanted to go a bit different. I didn't want to go all about the Brontes, and this was really good. And I think this has got so many quotes that people do quote. You've obviously got, like Roz says about, like, Shakespeare, and there's a lot of Shakespeare plays that people do quote. You've got quotes from Little Women, but this was the choice I decided to go with. And then the Rediscover classic, and this is, for me, I'm going with a classic that's been talked about a lot, and one I will hope to get to maybe next year if I can. Again, it depends on how my slump goes, but it's one that quite a few of my booktube besties have spoken about, and one that I hope to read. And this is one that a lot of people have spoken about over the last year, and this is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. A lot of people read it this year or last year, but what scares me is that it is flipping. My copy is 875 pages. So Jem said to reread it. Alice liked it. Alice took a while to read it. They've all read it. I don't know how I'll read it. I've got the most gorgeous copy. Like I said, it's a Wordsworth Classics edition, which is one of my favourite, as you can well tell from this. It's one of my favourite editions. And it's a classic that's been spoken about a lot more, and I think people have really started talking about it, and Alexandre Dumas's other books. I've got lots of classics I've got a few classics on my shelves that I want to try, but with the slump, I'd love to know. So I've got 3 people I am tagging. One originally I've realised has been tagged in it before, but I still would love to know her answer. And it is, I'm tagging Charlie from Charles Heathcote, because I would think, I haven't tagged Charlie in ages. I'd love to see his answers if he gets time. He's so intelligent. Charlie is like the brightest spark ever, and I love Charlie. I think he's absolutely incredible. Berna, another bright spark, another person who loves doing tags. I will tag you. And I'm going to tag Chatty from the Mad Chatter. She is lovely. She got tagged originally by Berna, by Roz, because she was on the trip, but I would love to know her answers. So, but if you want to do it anyway, let me know. Have you got any good answers to this? If you don't want to do the tag, have you got any good answers to this? I've discovered that if people comment on my videos, apparently that they get, that the more comments I get, it affects my numbers and my stats and everything else. So if you've got to the end of this video and you would like, then, and you don't want to necessarily write a comment, you just want to put an emoji down, put a book emoji, any emoji about a book, because that would be really good. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, not subscribed yet, bring on my ding-a-ling. And I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.